Well, if they didn't get their bills till the end of the month.
Well, what I'm saying is, when we became aware of it, was when our site started to leak. And we were there. Now, I thought that's when your people were fixing or repairing the leak. And if that's the case, it would be around the last of November, first of December, which should be impacted on this next.
I got my
That's when
months
it
mixed
was,
up.
but if it was back in the first of November, first of October.
So there could be one more bill that comes through with a large.
I think there will be, but again, I don't know.
I would think
for sure
there would be.
when they,
Or at least a portion of that month.
15 days.
Yeah, I was out at Bristol Care, and it was right before Thanksgiving. So it was definitely mid-November, late November.
so it will be.
Yeah, okay, I just had my months mixed up. Well, this time's flying this year.
So there will be some, you know, the
Now,
bill
I
is
didn't
broke.
walk all around it, but the ground was pretty dry where we were at.
Well, I understand that you all had 2 leaks prior to our leak. Is that correct or wrong?
Well, I'm not aware that we had 2 leaks.
Okay.
prior to that. But what I'm saying is, the ground was dry. I'm not saying the water didn't go down the sewer, but water went somewhere, is what I'm saying. It should have been more gallon, 300,000 gallons.
Brian, do you want to make that a motion, or do you
Well, I
want
don't know
to?
that that would fix it, because we're gonna possibly see this again on the next billing.
Right.
So maybe I was just talking.
I think another possible solution then is to have them pay the water portion of their bill, not pay the sewer portion of this bill until the next bill arrives. We know what the true effect of it is, and then at that point, figure out what that sewer charge, what that average sewer charge would be, and then they'll be basically on the bill where it gets caught up, they'll be paying 2 months sewer charge. I think that's another possible solution.
Let me ask you, where was the leak?
No, sir, I'm sorry, I can't tell you. There was another man that came up here and took care of that.
Did you have to dig up, did you have to dig up the ground? Was it underground?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead and pay the water portion this month, wait till next month's sewer charge, and then factor that into the average of the last 12 months. And then take that sewer charge, and that would be the sewer charge for November, and then his regular portion for December. You want to make that a motion?
I'll try to state that. I'll make a motion that that Odessa Bristol Care, on their bill, which is due this is the bill due December 15, pay the water portion only of the water sewer. We will hold the sewer bill until the readings that are done in December, which will be for the January 15th bill, and make the appropriate adjustment based on average sewer charge at that time.
Have a motion, I'll second.
I'll second that.
All right, have a motion and a second to have Bristol Care pay water only on the December 15th bill, hold the sewer bill until the January 15th bill cycle, factor the average of the sewer bills of the previous 12 months, and then pay accordingly.
And that will be 2 sewer charges on that particular bill.
Correct. Madam Clerk, did you get that? Okay. Go ahead, discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I understand the situation as well, and I have a tendency to agree with Alderman Lockhart's first statement. I've been here a while, and we've had several situations arise. I want to see sometimes perhaps a danger of creating a set of if-then statements. If this happens, then the city will do this, and if this happens, plus this, then the city will do that. But once again, I don't recall ever the quantities being separated, sewer and water. Just as Alderman Lockhart indicated, just one quantity. And we've had several individuals, businesses who've come forward with exorbitant bills that have had to pay them. And in fact, some of the good people in the community have assisted these people in doing so. But I understand what Alderman Wright said about the separation, so I see merit in what you're talking about, Alderman Johnson, and so Alderman Henning as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Are you opposed?
Yep.
Okay. Motion carries 5-1. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, next is approval for siding materials to be used on the Concordia Bank project. Mr. Hall,
I don't really have much to say about it.
if you can stand up here and use the podium, please.
I don't know that I have a lot to say about siding materials. I think they were presented at P&Z meeting. And I don't know if she forwarded that on to you guys. So, I mean, it is not on the approved list, but it is a good material. It is wood, kind of a compressed wood surface. And it will look real nice on our buildings.
Any questions about the siding materials to be used on the bank project? And this is for the permanent structure?
Yes. Yeah.
That building has actually brick and stuff on the bottom part of it, is that correct? It's got stone or
It's got
brick or-
stone, yep, on the bottom and on the sides.
Yeah, so it's not the whole side or anything like that, it's
No.
just a portion of it, right?
I think we talked at the P and Z meeting. We talked at the P and Z meeting. We talked at the P and Z meeting about the surfaces. There's a certain percentage, I think, in the that's required in the planning and zoning to be of a different. Well, no, not the approved part, but different level. It's written different in there, but it must, a different plane, I think is how it says. And we talked about the stone was going to stick out farther than the siding and make that plane requirement.
Is this the way that you presented the plans in the beginning?
Yeah, the plans have always had LP Smart siding as the exterior structure, or exterior siding and stone.
And P&Z did recommend this for approval.
Yes.
Did they approve it and then not approve it? I mean, how did we get to this point?
I think it's part of the code that the planning and zoning approves it and then sends it to you guys for approval. I'm not aware of the code, but I think that's why we're here.
Yeah, and Clay is verifying that. P&Z approved it, sends it to the Board of Aldermen for a vote.
I was told by one of the P&Z people that there's a provision in the ordinance that the siding and, in the siding and materials part of it, that's what it does, is you go through P&Z and then through the Board of Aldermen to approve something that's not on the accepted list, but there is a provision in there that says that they can go before the board and the Board of Aldermen to get another type of material approved. And the P&Z person that I talked to also said that what their thought was because it's at that end of right next to a residential neighborhood and everything, that this would kind of blend in with the neighborhood more than some other kind of the approved applications that's in there. But that's what I was explaining.
I've seen applications of smart board that look good, and I've seen some that look bad.
I understand. I.
One thing I don't want to do is, I don't want smart board not to be recommended for future use in Odessa. That's a poor man's garage. And there's a lot of poor women in Odessa. You know, and I'm not for sure that maybe we messed up doing the ban on some of the ribbed siding as well, the metal. I think that's going to be something that we've already seen has been misused already and misused by planning and zoning with some restrictions for some requests. And we may want to look at that again.
Any other discussion, or you'll also entertain a motion to approve this request? Last call for a motion or a discussion point. All right. The board is not taking action on this, so we will move on. Next item is bill number 2015-21, ordinance number 2913, EMS mutual aid. This is an ordinance for the authorization to provide mutual aid services by and between the Odessa Fire and Rescue Protection District and the City of Odessa EMS. First reading for your approval. Ms. Dillon is here to answer questions or speak to it. Do you have anything you need to add?
I don't think so. Basically, this is just, we've had this kind of mutual aid that we've worked with all these years. It's just never been put into practice in writing. We have a very good relationship with the fire district, but we are two separate entities, so they brought it forward thinking that it probably would be a good idea for us to go ahead and have it on paper.
Any questions or motion? Approval of first reading. This is essentially, like you said, as I understand it, just formalizes the system that's in place. It just legalizes it. Not that it was illegal before, it just puts it in writing in case an issue arises.
I'll make the motion that we approve bill number 2015-21.
Have a motion, have a second.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve bill number 2015-21. Any further discussion?
I was just wondering, is there any inherent financial, something financial or something that's included in this, or, I mean, it's just helping out each other, or is that the way we're supposed to take it?
Yes, there's not anything financial with it. We're not having to pay anything. They're not paying anything to us. It's just that if we call for help in extrication or lifting or anything like that, or they need an ambulance standby for a fire call, goes both ways, so we just go and help. But there's nothing, our time, I guess, and fuel.
It reciprocates both ways, and it's used across the nation. They call, and if EMS can respond, they respond the same way, vice versa.
We have basically the same type of mutual aid with Sny Valley, Higginsville, Wellington, Napoleon, Johnson County Ambulance, Lexington. We've just never had it in here because it's been with another city City of Odessa entity with the fire district. We've just never brought it forward as an actual document.
Motion is second. Is there any further discussion? Alderman Johnson?
Is there an actual agreement that will be made? Basically, we're authorizing the mayor to enter into and execute it. And we've not seen what that is.
And I apologize, Alderman, because it's not in the packet. I thought it was in the packet. But yes, there's actually a document. It's been reviewed by council and approved, but the document is not in here.
Is there an urgency to do this tonight?
No, the fire district board has already approved it and signed it. It just, so we could do this at our next meeting.
That would be my preference. I'd at least like to see what we're authorizing to be executed.
So we move to table this?
Yeah, you can postpone.
I will move to postpone the next meeting.
And motion to postpone.
I'll second.
Motion is second to postpone. Any discussion on move to postpone to December 28th? All in favor? Motion carries. Bill number 2015-21 is postponed to December 28th. All right, next is the city administrator's report, Mr. Arias.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and board. Just a couple of things that I've attended over the last few days. I attended the DARE graduation at the upper elementary, and I just want to commend Chief Newhouse and the department for the DARE program. It's a great program, and the kids were very excited about it. Also attended the Chamber of Commerce recognition banquet at Berry Acres. It was a very good event, just an outstanding event for our business community, and I appreciate the Chamber's work there. I attended the PD EMS Fire District Christmas dinner, and I appreciate being a part of that and being invited to that, and our city staff invited me to be a part of that, and I appreciate that. Also attended the city staff Christmas dinner, and on behalf of the city staff, I just want to say thank you to the board that attended, to the mayor that was there. Appreciate that. It meant a lot to our staff. Just want to update you on some work that's in progress. The major work at Phillips and Connor for the stormwater pipe replacement has been completed, and that's the major work. We are working with the resident there. He's agreed that we wait until the spring. There needs to be some settlement that takes place in the yard where the pipe is at, but also in the driveway portion. And so we're not going to pour the concrete until the spring, and he's in agreement with that. The forms have been put in place on Montgomery Street, and we were waiting on concrete. I don't know if
They poured it.
okay, they poured it today. There was construction observation by Kenny Jones of Larkin, and Dan Miller of Larkin will sign off on that completed project. I was asked, did we move it back to the original spot that we wanted it, and we did. We moved the curbing back, so that should be done. We continue to work on the fixed cost, the hard numbers for McDowell Street, and again, this is a complicated situation. It's much different than Phillips and Connor. Dan Miller is doing some work on us. There's needed permits. We've been working with FEMA and SEMA. They've asked for some more paperwork and some permits and some studies. It's the same studies that Dan Miller talked to us about that project, but we are staying on top of that and working on McDowell Street to get that completed as soon as possible. The Northwest Treatment Plant startup date was Monday, December 7th. We had water in the plant. We've also now transported sludge from the southeast plant to the northwest plant, and we've got sludge going through the plant, and it looks great. It's a great opportunity. I said to you last time, we're going to try and do something in April as far as the celebration of that opening of that plant. But we do have staff out there every day working at that plant. And then I did inform the board about Concordia Bank. They requested a temporary permit for their temporary bank building. The code officer, Sybil Wilson, was contacted. We went through our city attorney to make sure that we had an understanding of how we could issue a temporary permit for that building. We were told that we could do that. And so we issued a 30-day permit for the temporary building there. Then we began to look at the Chapter 7 of our codes, which lists the uniform codes, which includes the international building codes, which allows the code official, Sybil Wilson, to issue temporary permits up to 180 days with the authority to grant extensions of those temporary permits. Concordia Bank was contacted by e-letter. We sent a hard letter through email dated December 3rd, 2015, with requirements for a 30-day temporary permit. This included a fee schedule of $6,008.75, which they paid in full, and we issued the temporary permit. The letter includes the explanation that the parking and the driveway need to be a hard surface. I've met with Concordia Bank on a couple of occasions and spoke to them by phone today to just reiterate that that portion needs to be completed. Met with the city attorneys to ensure that the city is operating according to code, and the finding was that we are operating according to the International Building Code. So I knew that there were some questions about that, and I didn't know if there were further questions concerning Concordia Bank.
I have questions.
Okay.
So that Concordia Bank lot is in the CRT zone area, correct?
Correct.
So then in our code, section 8.800, section 2, it says review by Planning and Zoning Board of Aldermen. It says before making a decision, the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of Aldermen, as is called for this chapter, shall review and consider the application for a conditional use permit in an open public meeting. Okay? At such meeting, both those in favor and those opposed to the conditional use permit will be given reasonable opportunity to be heard. Okay? So that's in a different section than what you had them look at.
I think, though, a conditional usage is something outside of a permitted usage within the CRT. A bank institute is a permitted usage within the CRT. So it's not a conditional permit that we need because it's a banking institute that's permitted within the CRT.
Okay. So other questions that I have then, so is that building, they have two buildings on that lot right now, is one of those considered an accessory building currently? Because the construction building could potentially be the second one since they're using the temporary building as a main building at this time. That's just a question.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, the accessory building is larger than 500 square feet, which is the restriction for the CRT zoned area.
My understanding is the second building is a construction trailer. And my further understanding, I believe, Mr. Conway, we've never permitted construction trailers.
That's what I know of.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't classify that as an accessory building, is the temporary building an accessory building? Because it also says in the CRT portion of it that accessory buildings and structures may be constructed no more than 180 days prior to the commencement of construction of the principal building or principal use service.
And I'm gonna defer to our legal counsel. I don't see that as an accessory building because it's not gonna stay. It's a temporary building that will be removed.
I would agree with that interpretation.
Okay, so my next question is, so when the bank first sent their plans into P&Z or to the city, did their land development plan have any indications of temporary bank situation in the building? And if it did not, which I don't believe it did, this means that they're in violation of section 8.209-2 review process, which is to assure satisfaction and proper development of the commercial residential transition overlay district. All new uses or changes in use shall be reviewed. The land development plans as set forth in section 8.800 shall be required for all commercial use applications to be developed under the CRT district guidelines.
I did not know that there was gonna be a temporary building. I didn't see that in the original plans. I don't believe any of our city staff saw that.
So it also goes on to state that the land development plans must include the following information in at least preliminary form: overall development scheme, including location, proposed site layout, existing zoning, parking facilities, all adjacent highway and street alleys with traffic flow patterns, a list of the kinds of establishments to be located on the site and their floor areas, architectural sketches, landscaping plans, lighting plans, engineering plans showing proposed methods of water runoff control with a stormwater management plan, an erosion sedimentation control plan, architectural evaluation of the structure, including the design of the exterior wall surfaces and the type of materials to be used. So the land development plan must include a survey of the current property. So if we didn't have it in there, that they were gonna put a temporary building on there, then it appears that's a violation of that section.
And I would defer to legal counsel and a review of that.
And I would need that be laid out, the questions being asked, so that we could, obviously, just not something that I'm gonna answer them, but spur of the moment, I'm gonna take
Right.
your question and analyze the ordinances and get back.
And that's fine, which I think Mickey has a copy of those questions that I have already given to him. So, the only thing that I would like to also add to that is, from the very beginning, when Concordia Bank stepped forward and wanted to say in public planning and zoning meetings and with the Board of Aldermen, they wanted to be up front. To be honest, you know, they wanted to work and be in good communication with the citizens of Odessa and the board and everything. I find that hard to believe that we just put a temporary building up, we had no intention of using it, and then we go to use it, okay? So I think that Concordia, in my personal opinion, Concordia Bank has disrespected the community, the citizens of this community, this board, the city, and our planning and zoning people. So we have done a lot of things that we probably wouldn't have done in other meetings. Like, we zoned their property when we wanted to wait for the rest of them, but we did that so they could help their construction. Then we zoned their two lots together. And then to turn around and do what this happened, I just feel like it's a slap in the face to everybody sitting up here, all of our city staff, and all citizens of the Odessa. So,
Can I speak on that, or?
Not tonight. Do you have any questions for legal counsel? Yes, sir, I do. Any other questions for the city administrator? All right, seeing no other questions. We will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.